Previously on Locker Room Talk.
Literally, the girls in the building ran up there and took him down. He was hanging over the ledge, watching it. And I was watching this shit like, and now that I think about it, it's crazy, but he was hanging over the ledge and he wanted to jump. You know, and you don't think of shit like that when you're a kid. So what I'm trying to say to is that when I said before that he had affected my life, it's much deeper than a lot of shit. Pretty much, me and my boys raised me. You know, my mother was the one that provided for me financially and mentally, but literally, I lived off the streets. We used to stay out all night long and just hang out and drink 40s and blunts.
And that's where you got your manhood.
And that's where I got my manhood from. You know, going to the streets, proving myself, having fights, literally, this is not even a lie, having fights every week just because of the fact that I was protecting the Williams name. You know, because I was going because every time I turned around, someone was giving some kind of derogatory thoughts or message to me indirectly about my brother, so they're talking about me now. So now I got to step up to the plate. What the fuck are you talking about? I walked around literally for 2 months with those gloves you put in, you lift weights on.
Right. Oh, the gloves. I meant, yeah.
I used to walk around with my back pocket because I knew sooner or later I'm gonna have to set it off and have a fight with someone. So I had to pull those things out, keep them in my hand, and I would fight with those. I kid you not. So it's a different take that I have on when it comes to raising a child, or better yet, having a father figure. Because my father figure in my time, I wanted to kill him.
Okay, guys, we're here on part 2, men's group, relationships, sex, and we're gonna start back up. But first,
Steve Harvey's a bitch, and your publicist is a bitch too.
I'm not laughing.
When the bitches, no. Let me know when the bitches get here. No, we can't act like this when the bitches get here.
when we show this next week to the females on that television, I can't wait. I can't wait.
So the life that I had with my parents for 5 years on my own, to me, is the biggest trauma that I had. But then I had to add on the fact that I was gay. So here
When
I
did
am.
you know? When did you know?
I don't think I really knew until I got to school and I started hearing people call me gay. Because being as a kid, what I was saying, I had never had anything. My mom let me dress in oversized t-shirts with belt and perform all around the house. I've always performed. Neither her or my father stopped that. My father taught me how to sew on his grandmother's machine. So between my parents, I never had a reality, which is where I was like, I didn't need anything, I felt, because they were very supportive. It wasn't until I got to school. And also, I grew up with females. So everything I did was normal to them because I was their little brother.
No, it was normal to you.
Correct. It was normal to me that they were being normal.
They made it normalized.
Everything seemed normal until I left. That's why I was like, it wasn't until I got to school and had to interact with other people that I had to start questioning myself or the things that were around me.
Right.
As far as you can remember, your personality and your traits were that was normal.
Yes.
Nothing. So
No, so
what about with you?
I think the thing what happens is that in for a lot of gay men, you know, I don't know how that may translate to you, but you know, as you said earlier, Shay, you know, you get to know who you are, or you primarily start molding yourself between the ages of like 2 to 4. And you start molding yourself. Your parents know that you're gay because you don't know how to mask it. This is just who you are. You're just there. And I'm sure that for bar mitzvahs, we've seen a lot of those gay kids that we've done, like, oh my God. And either the parents either embrace it or they're like, what the hell? And they try to calm it down. A lot of parents or the adult figure in the family or that's around gives you an eye. Like, or they tell you to stop. So you're like this, and all of a sudden they tell you to stop, and you're doing these numbers. Now, you don't learn how to mask it, but you know for whatever you're doing is wrong.
At the age of 2 and 3,
No, I'm talking about like age of 5, 6. As you get older,
Okay.
in other words, you're like 5, 6 years old.
But between the age of 2, you're starting to show traits,
yeah.
and your parents start
Yeah.
to know. Because again, I'm saying I was dressing in oversized t-shirts and belts and wearing my mother's heels at 5. And she never stopped me. There's pictures
But
of
if
it.
she did, would it be different?
I think it would be different
No.
because I would try to probably go around it at that age and try to figure out a way to do it. That's
But
why
you
I
would still do it. It would still would have been done.
correct.
You
But
knew
now
by
that I'm
that age is what you're telling me.
Yes. So even if she would have stopped me, I would sort of figured out a different way to come around it at that age. Because even now, I go back and I'm like, what if I would have not simmered that down because I felt like other people were judging it?
Then you'd be suppressing yourself. Then.
But now I feel like there's a part of my life that I did suppress myself because I was trying to fit in for other people not to say something. I was like, as a gay man and as a first immigrant son and as the first boy, a lot of things added up, and you start realizing, okay, you have to talk this way, you have to act this way, you have to do these things, and you have to go that route. What you really want or what you feel inside, you got to hold on to that for another day. Because not only are you now gay, you are the gay male Dominican first immigrant son to these people that want everything.
Right.
For me, it was just the eye look or the eyebrow raise. Aunt Ruthie, one of my aunts, she was pretty well off. She was like the overly rich, cigarette smoking, lay it down. It's like that person owned her own.
She like Betty
huge
Davis.
house, a huge house. And that's
Like Betty Davis.
Okay, fine. Yeah, yeah.
It's coming back out.
He has not told me.
I was like, I know, it's coming back
The
out.
producer's like, what the hell? So my Aunt Ruthie and I had a huge argument, like stuff like this you don't even know. Like I came in and I had done a recital like a week before. My grandmother wanted me to bring the trophy, so I brought the trophy to the family reunion. And I'm like, no, I'm going to show Aunt Ruthie, just hold off, you know. So one of my uncles says, you know, what is this for? And I said, well, I want a dance trophy for this. I did the dance trophy. Remember that first fashion show I did? That first day I walked in, that. Mm-hmm. So that one dance trophy and a fashion show. And so my aunt came over, and my aunt came over. Where'd you get that from? Like, I won a dance trophy. Oh, was it a tutu you had on?
Wow.
And I'm like, no, it wasn't a tutu. Tights, right? Tights. It'll show off your body, tights. Yeah, I know tights. Yes. Louise! That's my grandmother's. Louise, you let this boy go around and walk around in a tutu? You know, and do you remember the time that Mama said that she hit?
She beat up?
She beat her up.
My grandmother
She beat up your oh,
Grandmother-
snap.
This is her sister, so my grandmother beat, you know, and we all left.
Wait,
My grandmother beat her sister, for saying something like
Beat
that.
up.
But as we were leaving, as we're leaving, she says, she says, take your little faggot grandson out of here. And I remember going back to her and I said, you know, the only reason why we come because you have a big house. No one likes you. You're disgusting. You're old. You're going to die soon. I said, even your son doesn't even come to the family reunions. And so she went to grab me, and my grandmother stood in front of me. She says, no, he's right. And we all left the house.
Oh, my God.
You know, and little things like that I felt empowered by. But it still was that whole notion of no matter how empowered I was, I still couldn't be myself. It was like almost okay that when you're okay, you're performing, it's okay, not a problem, we won't talk about it. But the minute I started with Madonna and I got on tour, oh, my grandson, my child, and all this, now I'm able to be talked about, but before I wasn't. So what upsets me is that it's not my uncomfortability, it's yours. And the fact that you can't accept the fact that I'm gay, me being gay has nothing to do with you. Absolutely nothing.
But people internalize that.
But they internalize
people would
it.
definitely
It's
think
just
that it
parents.
is. A parent would
Yeah,
think
they
that,
just say,
that it
this is
is.
my fault. I've raised them wrong. I've done something.
What did I
wrong,
expose
or
them
I
to?
exposed them to the wrong things. So, or my mother. I remember when I first told my mother, and only a few of you, well, actually, maybe only you two will only know. When I first told my mother, there was a series called Soap. Remember Soap?
Yeah.
Okay, I know. Only two.
Yeah.
Fuck all your rest of you. It was a series called Soap. What's his name?
You need to watch Nick at Night.
Billy Crystal.
Yeah.
Billy Crystal, that you all probably would know. Billy Crystal played the gay guy on the show.
Right.
It was a outbreak. It was a breakout moment for TV history. So it was on regular channel like Channel 7, and he was dating a football player that was in the closet. And I remember
What year is this?
This is like in the 76,
77?
77, yeah.
Well, they were ahead of their times there.
Yeah, they really were.
I wasn't born yet. So I
Yes, he was. I remember calling my mother up on a job and telling her, I said, Mom, you know, I think I'm like Jody on Soap. And that was my way of telling her. And
You said think, did you know?
I think I knew. I knew, God, probably from like 6 or 7, you know. And I'll explain to you later on, but I remember calling her up and telling her. And she came home that night. She cooked, she did everything else, and Keith went to bed, and she called me downstairs in the living room. This is when we lived in the house. And she sat me down, we sat on the carpet, both folded legs, and she held my hand, and she said, so talk to me. I'm like, I said, I think I'm like Jody on Soap. And she says, what does that mean? I said, I don't know. You know, she says, you know what that means. She says, you're not a stupid child. I said, I'm a stupid kid. I'm like, well, I think, you know, I've got these feelings and so on. And I try to explain to her that, you know, I'm not exactly why these feelings are coming up. Blah, blah. And she suppressed it for me. She says, well, you know, when I was a kid, I was a big tomboy. I loved playing football. I loved doing this and climbing fences. And I realized right there on the spot, she wasn't ready for this. So I said, okay, not a problem. So I will accept that for right now. And left it alone completely, and just said, cool. But going through that, I just think that there's a huge difference in reference to how heterosexuals look at relationships and how gay men look at relationships.
How are they different? How is a heterosexual relationship and male relationship, other than the sex, how is it different?
Well, put it in, it becomes
I don't want to talk about
different.
that.
You know, up until 5 years ago, we weren't able to get married. I never even thought about marrying a guy. It wasn't even the first thing in my mind. I wasn't even thinking about it because it wasn't accessible to us.
Available.
You know, so I'm like, right, I'm not even thinking about that. So the whole idea of home, 2 kids, the car, white picket fence was just, you know, I would have liked that, but I knew that was never going to happen. So now I have to depict my own fantasy.
So, with all the talking that we've done about past issues, and whatever they were, from single parents, dual parents, not good parents, parent abuse, past relationships, everything that we've talked about, if we were to leave it at that, it would seem like it would be very bleak for us to have a successful relationship. So my question now is, how do we turn all of that around? What is it in you that you need to fix to have a successful relationship?
It's really just knowing your truth and who you are and what you seek for. Because only then, when you know what you're seeking for, can you really walk forward and feel more comfortable with what you're receiving. Because I think we have an idea of what we want, but then we've all been talking about how we get it and then we don't want it. So then was that what you wanted? Mm-hmm. Because only when you really start realizing who you are and what really makes you full, will you actually accept what's coming in and embrace it for what you need it to be, is my conclusion as to what I feel could work for myself.
Look at the person in the mirror and know that you have to please that person more than anyone else. That's the first person you please and the last person you please. And then I think if you have that overwhelmingly great feeling about yourself, it will be pushed on to others that are in your circle.
I always say this, you know, be true to the person in the mirror. I say it in my quotes. And for those I've counseled, for those I've talked to, you know, you really have to, me personally, I think that I have to learn how to be authentic and really realize what I want. I think we all go after what society tells us we should go after, and we go after and realize this is nothing of what I intended on getting. Find out who you are. That's going to be the hardest thing, and it's a lifelong journey. You're not going to find it in one day. You're not going to find it in 1 year. Finding out who you are, it's going to be a long journey. And then when you find someone that's willing to go down that same road with you, hopefully it's not this. Hopefully you can go this and go together. And I'll say this last thing. If everyone makes a diamond in their hand, you start from the bottom down here, that's where you start out in your relationship. Normally, as you go in between that, you see as it gets wider, that's where all the problems start at. That's where all the disagreements, that's where all the problems and the yelling and screaming starts out. But if you can make it back up to here, you've made it all the way through that. So you've made through all the problems, all the stuff, but you've got to be able to work at it. I think too many times we get into a problem and we immediately want to bounce. And especially in a bigger city, we have so many different options to say, I'm out, go, see you later, between different apps, computers, so on and so forth. So to learn to stay in, work at your problems with the person you're with, and can sustain that.
Right, now you got to get your lady like this here, then you got to bring it to you. No, don't put any of that.
We're gonna put that in.
Don't put
We're
any
gonna
of
put
that
that in
in.
for the
He can do whatever he wants.
When you find yourself trying to have a relationship, find out what it is that you don't like, what you absolutely will not accept. And that's how I ended up where I'm at in my life. I ain't gonna tell you where I'm at in my life, but I'm gonna tell you I'm happy and I'm so like I'm excited about my future because my previous relationships have taught me exactly what I will not accept, what I do not like, and that knowledge, I know I'm gonna be all right.
I love getting to go last because I got to listen to everyone's answers. Kind of like, it's been left. All right, I like this, and there's nothing, absolutely nothing left that you can go. I've always been able to identify what I know is going wrong, or what I'm doing wrong, without necessarily wanting to change that. I've known what a lot of the problems in my relationships are and why they failed or why I can see them failing. What I wanted 10 years ago and what I want right now are two completely different things. And that's, what I wanted 4 years ago is different. So I'm still constantly figuring out what I want and going through dating, dating phases, dating, multiple people at one time, being exclusive in a relationship, it has really taught me a lot about what I'm willing to accept, what I'm not, and more importantly, it's not just criteria of, okay, they have to have A, B, C, and D. It's not everyone's always going to have A, B, C, and D. And that's just kind of the way it is. So you got to just figure out where, what the important aspects you really need are and focus on finding those.
Tonight, I just want to take you home.
What's going on, guys? Oh my God, I'm exhausted. Do I look tired? Because I am. Is this on? Let me make sure. Listen, just getting back from our focus group with the guys this evening, and I gotta say, it was intense. A lot of questions were answered. A lot of questions were baffling to the guys. I had a great time. I really did. And I'm really proud of the guys also in reference to getting their point across as honestly as they possibly could. I challenged them and they were up for the challenge. They were emotionally available for the 3 hours. I hope it's going to continue next week when I bring the women in. We're going to try to bring the women in again. And on that note, I'm going to go, once again, subscribe, go on YouTube, go on my Instagram, go on my Twitter, go on my Facebook, Kev Will Stuff, KEVWILLSSTUFF. Look it up on YouTube. Just press the bottom on the button on the bottom, left-hand side. Okay, subscribe. That's it. Because the more subscriptions you get, the more I can show the publisher that I got followers that are listening to what I've got to say, and they will push the book. So, subscribe. Okay? You take care, guys. I'll see you soon.